Scrappy friends! So I have something really special for you today that is going to be happening on my channel. So me and Kelly, that's Froggie251 on YouTube, are going to be doing some challenges together, and we're going to be challenging each other to do a mixed media card on our project life. So I'm going to do a couple of mixed media type things. So you'll see that. As you can see, I'm using some paint right now. And I pretty much use acrylic paint on this whole one. So I'm hoping that maybe next week I'll get out my watercolors and maybe like switch it up and do a little bit of different stuff each week. So for a little while, we're going to be challenging each other. And I'm really excited because I think this is going to help me be a little bit more interested in my project life and get it done. And also, I really do like the idea of adding mixed media to my project life. So right now you're seeing me use the bag technique, and I like using the watercolors or the acrylic paint. I think this is the first time that I've tried the acrylic paint. I haven't done this too much. Part of it is for me, I like to use my paintbrush because I know exactly where my paint's going to go. Even though with the bag you still put it on your project and it goes where you want it, but this is a little bit less perfected. So, but the end result is really nice. So I don't know why. Sometimes I just don't I'm like, and maybe it's just too intimidating. I don't know, because you just never know how it's going to work. So I just added a little bit of water to it, and I like that. So here I decided that I wanted to use some of this paint that I still have to write out "Eat Cupcakes Often." So, and I had practiced that. You can see it up above a little bit before I did it for real, because I didn't know how it was going to turn out. And to tell you the truth, when you're using your brush to get a scripty font, I think it takes lots of practice. And it's something that I definitely want to practice a little bit more, but acrylic paint, I think, even works a little bit different than watercolor. So, I don't know. It didn't turn out amazing, but it wasn't horrible. So, I'm going to keep it. And then you just see me add a little bit of paint to that. So this is the card that I did the paint on the bag. And I'm using a screen print. So this is like a stencil, but it's like a screen. It's like mesh. And so I have a little bit of texture paste mixed in with some paint. And as you can see, and I did this close up a little bit so that you could see it a little bit better. It's really, really hard to see. Now, I'm not sure if this one just doesn't work that well, too, because I've not used the screen print too much. And some of them I've used worked really, really well. I find that it works better with just regular paint. So next time I think I would have just did it with just regular paint. So, and here I'm using just the stencil over top of what I had just did. So the nice thing with screen prints is that it dries really, really fast because it's just a thin layer. But because it's through a screen, if you have too thick of a texture paste, it's not going to go through very well because it has that layer of mesh to go through. So here I'm working on one of my cards, and I'm going to have that wood layer grain. I like that paper, and that's going to go over top of. It just needed another color so that's why I used the pink. And I'm mixing and matching different collections of papers to do my project life. So what I have started doing is before I start, I will get a whole bunch of papers that I think I want to use together. And then I kind of think, before I even turn my camera on, and I'm sorry about the noise in the background, my dog decided he's going to play with his dog Rawhide by himself. Yes, he is throwing it to himself. So now I remembered that I had these vellum like 4x4 squares, and I thought that this would be really, really fun to add. Just a nice little something texture-wise in the page that's gonna just make it, soften it up a little bit. And so I found that I Am bird that has gold on it, and it looks really pretty. And then that Hello Wonderful is from Pink Fresh Studios, as you can see. And I will be adding something else to that card, but for right now, I try to finish one card at a time, but I find that sometimes I just like go back and forth. So I will hopefully not be so all over the place that you guys are like, ah. And I am gonna not, I don't want to say apologize, but I am just warning you guys, this is it's a long video. It's like 28 minutes. It's longer than I would have liked, but this took a long time, and I actually did this in one day. So I feel like I'm coming a far ways. So I'm going to add that cut apart. It's like a cut and print from Click Kits. And I'm just going to add the date to it. Well, and I did it in 3s, but it didn't show up too well because I put it on pop dots. Something that sometimes I don't think about is like, oh yeah. So I remembered that I had these phrase stickers from Simple Stories. So I'm going to add a whole bunch. And it says, enjoying little things, seeing the beauty in life, loving life, so very blessed, and making memories. And that card kind of goes along with that picture up at the top that says sweet, which is actually the view from the hospital that Leilani and we go to. So it's up on a hill, and you can see the city a little bit off to the side, so the city of Honolulu, and then you can see the port. So that's closer to like Pearl Harbor and stuff. But it is just the most beautiful view, and I had a doctor's appointment, so I decided that since I didn't have any kids with me, because I was able to go by myself, that I would take just a few minutes to try to get a couple pictures. I will say, this picture doesn't look too bad, but it was really hard to get a good picture with just my regular. I usually use my iPhone to take pictures. I will take pictures with like a regular camera. One, I didn't have it, but my camera isn't like a fancy camera, so it's like $100 camera. So sometimes it takes amazing pictures and sometimes it doesn't. So I decided to put that Hooray Puffy sticker on the Dear Lizzie. I really liked the colors, and I thought it matched really well with that background. So here I'm trying to figure out, I think I was trying to figure out what I was going to put on that card that has the paint on it, and what I was going to put on the rest of this card. And that is a picture of my dog. He has this thing about almost every time he goes out, he has to try to catch the geckos that are in our yard. And let me tell you, we have a ton. I have a lot of plants in our yard, so they kind of congregate like around the bases of the plants. And so he will come in, he will go out there, and he'll stick his nose around the pots, and because the grass will grow up around it, he'll get like these pieces of like grass on his nose, and almost every time he comes in he has these on, and it's just so funny. And so I decided to take a picture of it because why not? And this is something that I may not necessarily just make a layout. I mean, I might make a layout about it because I'm not too picky about that, but this works a lot better in like a project like, because it's something that happens like on a daily basis with him, but doesn't necessarily warrant needing like a whole 12 by 12 layout. So it's kind of nice to like document this and just show how cute he is. And I mean, our dog is a big part of our life, like most people's animals. So I'm just trying to figure out what else I want to put. I know I want to use that noteworthy sticker. And so I punch out some stuff thinking, oh, maybe I'll use this. And I don't use my punches nearly enough, and I don't have that many. I just have that circle punch, and I have that, like, flowery punch. But I didn't really like the colors of those papers with it once I punched them out. But I am going to save those, and I'll end up using them later, so it works. And sometimes that's how it goes. Sometimes you just got to play around. And so I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's when I thought I need flowers, and I remembered that I had all those Dear Lizzie flowers still left. So I took out one, and I'm just going to ink the edges. And I ink the edge of a lot of things just because it kind of helps tie everything together. And so I find a corner, and I really liked the way that looked. how that turned out. And then I'm going to journal about, and the journaling for that goes to the picture. Since I did that nice card with the flower next to it, it really didn't have space for journaling. So I thought, so I don't really have journaling for the picture of our dog outside with my husband. He's sitting there and he's doing paw because he's learning how to shake. So that's one thing that we're working on with him. And then the next picture after that, well, and you'll see in a minute, I'm going to put some stickers on it. I don't have any journaling for that either. But I'm okay with that because really these are just like little snippets of what's happening. And I wanted to use one of those, but they just really didn't fit. So maybe next week I can use one of those. That'll be fun. So I really wanted to use those simple stories, and I just didn't have enough, so I end up going with those burlap, which ends up working because I feel like it has that natural feel, and I'm just going to put Grill Master. This was the first day that we got our grill up and running that a friend of ours gave us when they left, and it's a charcoal grill, so we got it all going, and the kids are all excited because they don't remember us using a grill from before, and so they're all excited, and they're watching the fire, and the dog. I thought that photo was so funny because you got Caden and the dog just watching him like, oh, and so I didn't add anything else to that. I just did that, and so here we're on the next side, and I couldn't think of what I wanted to do for that other card. I knew that I had that one more card that I needed to do, but I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember what I thought I had. So before I start filming, I try to get everything kind of in my mind how I want each card to go so that when I turn on the camera, it goes a lot quicker because this is like, a whole bunch of mini layouts in my mind. And so even if it's just as simple as putting, a few letter stickers on. So I was looking for a piece of like chipboard that I could add to that. And that's just a picture of the mountains and the pineapple fields that are quite a ways from our house. But on the way to the beach. That day we were going to be going to the beach. My husband was on vacation. And so it was like one of the last days that on his vacation that we could go to the beach. So, but as you can see, it's really, really cloudy. And that was our first indication that maybe we might not be able to go to the beach. So this next card, it has the clouds, and I used that gray side because I knew that I wanted it to reflect how the weather was. I shouldn't say temperature, the weather. And it was really gray, and like as we were going to the North Shore, because there's the Dole Plantation and there's all the pineapple fields, and that's up at the top, and then you start going down the hill, and you can see the water, and over the water you can see all the clouds, just all of the gray clouds and everything, and we were like, uh-oh, hopefully it's not raining, and as we're driving it starts pouring and raining, and so we tried to like drive up the North Shore a ways, and it would like start clearing up, and then it would rain again. The kids were so disappointed. So as you can see, I'm looking for other things that I can add to that card to make it seem like beachy, but also reflect the fact that it was rainy. So I knew I had that cloud. And then I think, what else was I looking for? I know I took the Amy Tan. I wasn't sure if I wanted to use a rainbow, but it just didn't work. So I remembered I had that, rub-on. That's what it's called. That rub-on. And it's a copper color, so it kind of reflects some of the other colors that I have on throughout the spread. So I'm just going to rub that on with my pen. And then I'm going to use some of those triangle epoxy stickers and like raindrops. And then I'm just going to do some journaling on there. And I just pretty much say how we tried to go to the beach. And I have another photo that I'm going to do a 12 by 12 layout about at the beach. And I would have added it in here, except for it was a 6 by 4, not a 4 by 6. So it wouldn't work in that page protector. But that's okay, because I can just do a layout about it. So I didn't really add too much journaling. And then, let's see. So I'm just doing that. And then there's that card. And I do want to add some stuff to, because that's going to be for the cupcake card. And I add the date. And that's the same day that we went to the beach, because we came home and I ended up making cupcakes, because that weekend, that Sunday, I was going to be doing a candle party. So I was making cupcakes for that. So I just add some sequins to that card just to kind of make it look pretty, but I didn't really need to do much to it, and I was trying to keep it simple since in my mind, I was thinking I did some mixed media pieces that had more stuff to it, so try to keep some of them simple. And this, I'm just going to say what kind of cupcake it was and leave it at that. I really wanted the cupcake to be the focal point of that photo. So, and that's a mango lime blackberry cupcake. They were really good. So, as you can see, I couldn't decide what I wanted to put underneath that one wood piece, and I'm going to come back to that. So, I decided to work on this sheet here, and I knew I wanted it. Now, I am using the sketch as a rough base, but I kind of start deviating from it because not all the cards were the same, like, sizes and stuff that I needed, which was fine because I mean, really, that's what those are for, is just to give you an idea so that you're not like, what are you doing, you know? For me, being newer to Project Life, I really feel like that is, like, it has been really, really helpful. So I knew I wanted to layer some stuff behind that, yes, that lined paper, the ledger paper. And so I used some arrows, and then this is paper from Citrus Bliss, and I like the green. It matched with the green and that Dear Lizzie paper. I think that's Dear Lizzie. And so the one of the cards had like a whole ledger card, and I didn't want the whole thing. So I'm trying to figure out, I knew I wanted to use a typewriter since I'm going to be doing journaling. I figured it would work well with that. So I wasn't sure what else I wanted to put with it. I thought it needed something else to help tie it all together and just add a little bit something else to that card. And then I found that from Simple Stories, and it had the coral and the gold, and it matched perfectly, and I was like, yes. I was like, yay. And I pulled out a couple other things that I thought maybe I might be able to use somewhere else. Sometimes I try to do that when I'm looking through. And I keep all my little things that I'm going to be using in those little cups. So, like, if there's collections that I'm kind of working with, I thought about using that, but I just didn't seem to fit right. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'm going to keep it simple. And I really do. I was going to add that too, but it just didn't fit. So I add one of those, and then I'm going to add some enamel dots and put the date on. But of course, I have that chipboard piece, so I have a harder time getting the date on than I thought. So, and I use that hot pink color to stand out on that pink flower background. And later on, I'll do the journaling when it's off the screen. Not that it's, like, important. I just kind of talked about the day as a whole together, since this is pretty much all one day. So, you know, I talked about the photo of my husband and my daughter and, like, just all the stuff that we did that day. I figured that was a good day in a review card, so, since it had such a large space for journaling. Which I know, that's, I think, the hardest thing that I have is I want cards to look really pretty in there, but I also want to make sure that I'm journaling enough so that later on in life, when we're going through these, I'm not like, oh, well, what happened that day? Because, I mean, yeah, I remember now, but you know, 10 years from now or 15 or 20 years, I'm not going to remember, or my kids are going to look at it and they're not going to know what is really going on. So I probably will put these in right in with my layouts and try to keep the layouts that I do close to the time frame with it, since I mostly scrap current and then I'll add some old stuff to it. And I'm thinking that as I start doing more and more layouts, I'm going to try to keep layouts of pictures from certain years together. I didn't think that that bubble worked on that one side, so I take it off and add it like that, and it's perfect. I really like that pink. I don't like the spring on it, so I just cover it up with the big Dreamin' Big, and that worked really well. Both of them fell asleep together on the couch. It was so cute. I mean, and we did a lot, because I feel like we went to like the PX or something after, since we couldn't go to the beach. But I don't remember. Actually, yes, we did, because we got lunch. I forgot about that. We ended up getting lunch at the PX and brought it home. We got barbecue. So, see, and that was something I didn't even put in my journaling. That's okay, because I have a layout of the chickens, my chicken layout. That was actually from partly from that day. So I just journaled just a little bit about how they fell asleep. So I know I want to add paper to the background, and I really like that red and like cream type of color dot. It's really subtle, but it adds just a little pop of color. And of course, I should have cut it down before, but I'm gonna trim it like that. It should be fine in the page protector, so I'm not really too worried about it. And then, so now I'm just gonna work on this last card here. And actually, we're getting a lot closer to the end, guys. I say that. There's like 10 minutes left. We're getting closer to the end. At the very end, I show close-ups of all of the cards up close. So if you like that, let me know. Or if you don't like it, let me know. Because I can always I don't have to do that. But I thought it would be nice to show them all up close for a second or two. So I really like that wood grain, but I felt like I wanted to use that pink to, you know, have that pink tie-in. Sorry, guys. My kids are getting me sick. And I have those acrylic pieces left over from Scraptastic, so I'm going to use those. So, and I'm trying to use up, and I think this is one good thing about doing Project Life, is that I can use up a lot more of my pieces, and I just add some sequins. But yeah, use up a lot more of my embellishments, more than just like what I would add to a layout. So I really liked how this one turned out. And like I said, I actually finished this in one day. Granted, it took me like 3 hours. It really did. But the last one that I did, I think it I worked on it like in a week's time. It took like almost a whole week to get the whole thing done. I mean, so here I'm working on the last card that I have. And this is for the other side. So I did that, and I wanted to do some more layers of paper, and I really like that striped paper, but I wanted to add some other colors, so I add that pink, and then I remembered that I had this dot paper from Webster's Pages, and it's really, really fun, but it's kind of bold, so I like that it's on here in just a small amount. It's not too much, and it's fun, and it adds a lot of the colors that I have. And I tried to stay within the same color. I think each week I'll probably pick certain colors, or like how the first one that I did, I picked a drink color or a drink, and I used those colors to help. So I think I'm going to do stuff like that to kind of help keep everything the same for that week. So I'm just layering different pieces, kind of seeing what I like, what is going to look cute. I put that on a pop dot so it stands out. Oh, guys, sorry. I'm sorry. But yeah, I really love those vellum arrows. They're so cute. And I wanted to use some Dear Lizzie because the colors are similar to what are on that card. And then I remembered that I had that Believe, and it just is perfect. It's perfect. So the card is going to end up saying love, believe, shine. And it looks so pretty. And then I have those gold arrows, so I could use those up. They're really fun. This was a really fun card to make, even though I didn't really add much I didn't really do any media to it. So I knew I wanted to add that ampersand to it too.
What's this game is?
So I'm trying to figure out where I want to put that love. It's going to end up at the top, but I just wasn't sure at first what I wanted to do with it. But I'm going to put that arrow down, and I just kind of layer it and tuck it there. And I knew that needed a little bit more stickiness because those stickers really aren't that sticky. And it just tucks into that top layer. Perfect. And that ampersand, I just love the way that everything just tucked in. And I thought about using some of those word stickers, or like chipboard. And so, yeah. Here's some stamping of some hearts. And that adds just a nice little touch. And so then I'm going to add some enamel dots, because why not? Because I love enamel dots. I am actually running low on enamel dots. Like, I have almost no little ones. They need to just make a pack with just the little ones, because those are my favorite. So here's the up close of all the ones. I didn't slow it down. If you need me to slow it down, let me know, and I will. I will say one card is missing because I got bit by a centipede while I was doing this. So I did add some copper splatters to a couple of the cards. So here's this other side. And there are pictures of the close-ups. So guys, don't forget to go and check out Kelly's Project Life spread and see what she does with mixed media. I am super excited to see what she does. And I am, like, this is really fun. I love doing collaborations with people. So, yeah. I hope you guys are excited as we are about doing this. And if you have any ideas or anything mixed media wise that you want us to use, comment below and let us know. And I will see you later. Bye.